Hello and welcome to the Film Vomit Podcast, an extension of the Vomit series of podcasts. Here today, I am your host, the man who cut his toe while moving a couch yesterday. It's Mac Taylor. Yes, I am slightly injured, but I'm ready to roll.
That's great.
With me today, as always, is the man who once passed out dressed as a banana. It's Cole Selby.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Like, yep, that is a thing.
Yep.
That is a thing in the past.
That happened. That did happen a long while ago.
I was just thinking about intros today, and I was just like, yep, that's totally one that I feel like needs to be in the podcast.
Yeah.
In the lore of Film Vomit, they need to know that happened once, just like they need to know I cut my toe.
Great.
You're welcome, Cole. So before we talk about Stakeland 2 today, there were some webisode prequels to Stakeland about each character. I went back and watched them to see if there was any gaps that could be filled in. Not a lot. Like Martin's is basically just like a couple of minutes before the start of the first movie. Like he's just playing with his dog. Like not a whole lot there. Sisters was like, yeah, she's in the church with like the one nun who became a vampire later, and then the Brotherhood invades, and it's like, oh well, okay, that's also like it's just like briefly before their appearance, like just a little bit, except for Belle. We see her tell her boyfriend she's pregnant, and then he is then killed by a vampire. Like they're driving, and then they hit the vampire with the car, and then the vampire pulls her boyfriend out and kills him.
Oof.
So that was nice. It was a nice backstory. It made me think more about Belle's, because we knew she was pregnant, but we were like, by who? What happened? Now we know.
Yeah.
And then the other pertinent one was Mr., who we learn in the Stakeland 2 that he was in Mexico fighting the battles. And so when he came back from Mexico, he goes to his father's house. And his father had to kill his mother, who was turned into a vampire, and then told him that his family had headed up north. And his father was fatally injured by the vampire. He had like a big gash in his stomach that it was like a big reveal. And his father had the necklace on that Mr. has on in both movies. So the necklace came from his father and then went to Martin. So that makes him passing that to him mean even more, because that's where it came from.
Yeah.
Thoughts on those little tidbits, Cole?
That's cool. I wish we had something like that for every one of them.
Yeah. I mean, everyone had a little bit of it, but it was more so just like a small, like there wasn't any like, besides those two, like the big reveal where like, oh, that makes way more sense. But also Martin, we know his whole story pretty much. Like we don't really have any missing tidbits. So
I mean, Martin started out as a child, like back in his backstory, he was in a womb. Like,
essentially.
That's all his backstory would be. He was conceived, and then this happened.
It was a dark and stormy night upon his conception.
Yeah.
So that was cool, especially in the Mr. one. I really liked that. Thought it was a nice little thing. So now that we know just a little more about the lore. And I appreciate that the filmmakers made those, though, just a little extra bit of movie for you.
They probably it probably just shows how much they like this story, this idea, these characters.
This meant a lot to them.
Expands on it. Yeah.
So without further ado, now that we've just talked about those little quick details, we're going to dive into Stakeland 2, which was made a whole 6 years later than the first Stakeland. And so, but I'm glad that they waited, though, because Martin's now an adult.
Yeah.
And you really see what the time did to the story.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed it. So let's go ahead and let's dive right into it. So we start off with Martin telling his daughter, because he married Penny, had a daughter, whose name is Belle, after the fallen comrade of past. And he tells her the story of Mr., the legendary vampire slayer. But this story didn't have a great ending, because the Brotherhood has teamed up with the vampires.
Yep.
And they invade New Eden.
Which that sounds kind of nonsense. That sounds like a B movie plot,
But it makes a lot of sense within this lore.
Yeah,
and they built to it. We didn't just fucking start here. Like we built to that shit.
Yeah, that's something like out of context you listen to. It's
Yeah.
like, oh.
The vampires joined a religious cult and
Yeah.
invaded Canada. Like, oh, that's a
Oh
thing.
wow. Yeah,
But in this struggle, the head vampire called the Mother murdered Penny and Martin's daughter in front of him. And now he's on the road to vengeance. He leaves New Eden and is set out basically kind of similar to Mister, where he's just out to rid the world of vamps now because he has nothing left that he cares about.
He's off to kill just all of them now. He doesn't care.
What'd you think about that opening? I was like, it's like we wondered what would happen to New Eden. We quickly wrap that shit up, and then we give Martin a reason to go back into Stakeland.
Yeah, I like how it was shot. Like it's like it doesn't start off with the great scenery. Like it starts off with Martin sitting down in front of a fire, just
telling a story.
Horrible. Yep, talking to Mister, I think.
Yeah, he has like these visions of Mister before he meets him again.
Yeah, and I like how it starts with that, and we get right back into like the narration of everything, and we're sticking to that. And yeah, I like how it was just enough to give him a reason, and to continue on from the last movie, and also to jumpstart this movie. I like
it's a nice bridge.
It didn't like linger on it too long at all.
No.
I mean, the movies never really linger on anything good.
No, and in fact, some of the fight scenes I could have a little longer, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But this movie both movies do a great job of like tone setting. But again, the only complaint about this one, especially I have, is like those fights could have gone on a little longer. But I understand budget probably couldn't. They couldn't do too much. I understand.
They had to leave all the space for all those wide shots, man.
They some fantastic cinematography though. Like the places they're shooting in, they make look, even though it's like bleak, still it's shot very beautifully. Like it looks awesome.
It's a great looking movie.
So like we see him on the road, he like duct tapes his wounds and shit. And then we set up that this vamp woman called the Mother runs the army of the vamps and the Brotherhood. Because she's kind of like Jebediah in the last one. She's sentient, but she doesn't speak. And we see a wanted poster for Mister. So we're like, he's out there somewhere.
And he's wanted alive too.
Yes. And then he finds a vamp who he just aggressively kills the shit out of. Because we're seeing in the last movie, Martin had to kind of come to terms with the world in which he's living in. But he found this new home. There was hope. That was all taken away from him. Now we're seeing a cold, kind of how Mister was in the first movie, is who Martin is becoming.
We're seeing the transformation of him kind of becoming Mister in this movie. And it was really like, it was extremely like different for him, like with how violently he like destroyed this fucking vampire.
No hesitation.
No, like he just like it was very visceral and like primal in a way.
And also we're seeing the vamps coming out earlier and earlier. Like the sun's still kind of burning it a little bit, but it's not, full speed because they're losing food because there's not a lot of people left. So they're kind of it's kind of like the zombie apocalypse theory of like, when there's no more food left, they just die.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because that's their whole program is to, feed.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting thing. This movie doesn't really lean into heavily, but it's just mentioned.
Yeah.
So it's a subtle detail. And then he also mentions that people kind of gave up the idea of rebuilding society because it's like, especially when the Brotherhood and Vamps team up, it's like, well, fuck, like, what are we supposed to do? We got people, religious cults and vampires. This is bullshit.
Yeah. Well, it's like any like semblance of society was just destroyed by them. It seems like, well, at least in this area,
And even
far up north. Yeah, they're like spreading. Like so people just gave up. Now it's just like just tight knit groups of people, or like it's like your classic bandit types. Like it's
because we see the cannibals in this movie too.
Yeah.
So like we see just how much terrible shit is out there now.
Yeah.
And it's understandable why people have kind of given up on this.
Yeah. It's like the last movie, we keep running into people that are like, good for you, like good to you, and they don't last very long. Now we just keep running into like dickheads. Like,
yep. There's very few good people left in this world.
Yeah.
So Martin meets this elderly couple who invites him to dinner, and they talk about like their son who went up north and I guess has never come back, and he didn't know him. And I knew something was going to happen, but I was trying to figure out I still don't know what the exact purpose was. I don't know what they were trying to do exactly, but they drug him, but don't wait until he passes out. Like he's like starting to get groggy, and then they try to attack him. And so Martin, although taking no shit, throws the chick out of the way, and then she takes the bullet when he dodges it. And then he cleaves the guy in the back of the head, then passes out.
Yeah.
I'm like, if you're going to drug someone to murder them, wait till they fall asleep. Like, why would you, like, as they're starting to pass out, be like, aha, these are the dark ages. Like, you don't have to do the James Bond reveal. That's how you get murdered.
Yeah. I'm still trying to figure out why they wanted to.
Yeah, I don't know why that was. Because I thought, like, when I first saw him like start to get groggy, I was like, oh, is their son a vampire? And then they're gonna try to like feed him. That's why he's in the room and stuff. But then that didn't happen.
Yeah.
She just came at him with a cleaver. And I was like, why?
I think there was like I think it's supposed to be like, oh, they're gonna eat him, but with like, like the not having meat or something.
They did say no meat. Maybe that is why. Maybe they're also cannibals.
Yeah. I mean, like that's like all that you got for like.
Yeah, you really have to try to piece that one together.
Yeah. I believe that's what they were going for, but they just kind of didn't lean into it enough for it to be
a little too subtle.
100%. Yeah.
A little too subtle movie. You gotta give us a little more. Cause I was just like, what? Yeah. What was that about? Like, okay, but yeah, that makes sense. Good on you, Cole. Because when I heard the sun thing, I just thought it was gonna be like a vampire chain somewhere.
Yeah.
But no, like that's cool too. But yeah, movie, don't be so goddamn subtle sometimes. Okay. Sometimes you gotta feed us a little bit.
Yeah.
So then he runs into this storekeeper who immediately I was like, yep, bad guy.
Yeah. Yeah. He's
fucking fidgety. And I'm like, nope, don't trust this guy. Especially when he only had gum and dog food. I was like, yeah, fuck this guy.
Yeah.
So basically, this guy sends him to a trap of like, oh, yeah, just head over that way. It's totally safe.
Mm-hmm.
And he sees a little girl who basically lures him to get captured by the cannibals. So we see they were mentioned in the first movie, but this time we actually see them. And like we even see them like prepping meat and shit. Like and it's there's a lot of Mad Max vibes here. Mm-hmm. Like you got the guy with the face paint, you got the feral child, and you got this arena in which they're making people fight to the death. So yeah, very, very Mad Max Road Warrior stuff going on here. And I just rewatched those a few months ago. So that it was in the mind.
Yeah.
These references. So basically they're making Martin fight Mr., not knowing that they know each other, but Mr. doesn't recognize Martin because it's been a while.
Yeah.
And so the midst fight, he's like, Martin? He's like, yeah, it's fucking me. Like, chill your shit, dude.
It's good thing Martin wears that necklace.
Yeah, or else that would have been real bad.
Yeah.
But so then Mr. takes the stake and fucking throws it through the guy's throat. Kills the shit out of him. But I'm if you're going to have a gladiator arena, why would you be so close?
And like the thing is, he like already threatens him with the guns, like fight or die. And he's like, fuck you. And then he shoots the ground.
Yeah.
Like commit. This is how he died, because he wasn't committed. Like if you're going to have slaves to fight each other to the death, you got to let them know who's boss, and you should cap a couple of them every now and again.
Or just like back in the Roman Colosseum days, the rulers weren't right on the fucking level. Like they were up in the stadium, because this could have a very big possibility of happening every time.
this is just an effect of laziness. They didn't want to build
Exactly.
a good Coliseum.
And we see that the storekeeper is there up front too. So he sees the guy get staked in the neck, and the feral girl unleashes the behemoth vampire.
Yeah.
Which fucks that storekeeper up. It's what you get being all creepy and shit.
Yeah.
And so Mister decides to take in this feral girl for, I guess he saw like a little bit of his daughter in her or something. He has a soft spot for kids. We know this.
He does. Yeah.
So now she joins them on their new mission to just fuck up vamps. There's no real goal.
The whole goal at this point was just, like the first step was Martin finding Mister.
And then
Mister like takes the girl, and now it's go kill Lady Vamp.
Yep.
Go.
And so Mister takes them to his hideout, which has like a stake trap on the step, which I thought was super cool, super on brand for him.
Yeah.
And then we get a little more backstory that Martin had shot the arrow at the Lady Vamp, which she then used to murder his family. So it's like an even more reason, like, oh, I gotta fucking kill this bitch. I gotta fuck her up good.
It also just shows just how like badass she is.
Yeah, because she like out of the corner of her eye sees it, catches it, and then wham.
Like she's like, yeah, she just doesn't give a fuck. Like she's a powerful vampire, which I'm still trying to figure out, like how like the variants are like work.
Yeah, I've thought about that a few times. And I think maybe it's like, because, Jebediah like was praying to basically become this and became it. So it's like, I think if you like, as you're turning, if you like lean into it, you're a little more powerful. But like, if you're just like a normal person who got like bit and then turned, like you're just going to be like a peon
like,
kind of deal.
Cause it's honestly really interesting how like what they are doing to it.
Mm-hmm. How there's different types and different things.
Yeah. All the, like this is like a little bit of an issue I have like with having mother character.
Yep.
Like because she's like like she's supposed to be able to control the vamps in some way, organize
some sort of communication.
Yeah, and she's also extremely powerful,
and can reproduce,
which is weird.
We don't get a lot of that though. That was only mentioned once.
Yeah, but I feel like it makes the other vamps seem like extra like dumb.
I mean, they kind of are. Most of them are kind of just mindless killers.
But it's like in the first movie, they're like, I don't know. I feel like they were able to do a bit more.
Yeah.
Now they just kind of feel like they're like fodder.
They're there to serve this one purpose, essentially.
Yeah.
Whereas in the last movie, it was just get to this goal, try not to die. This movie, there's a central villain. I know Jebediah kind of was, but it wasn't the whole time. Whereas this one, it's like this Lady Vamp, she's the Grail we got to kill.
I guess it's just kind of weird for this movie to have that like main central villain.
It's kind of like in Romero's Dead series. When like by Land of the Dead, they have like the leader zombie, essentially. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like that. It's like the longer this shit goes on, things keep changing. And eventually the things turn into an army.
Yeah. It's just this kind of just did that.
Yeah.
I still think it was good. I still think it's good how they did it. Like how the movie does it.
But it does leave some questions.
Yeah.
But it was interesting to see it.
Mm-hmm.
Like she even has like a little like thing she's in during the day to keep from burning. Like there's a lot of intricate details.
Like when that thing comes up, I'm just like, how long have they been walking for? How long have they been carrying this bitch for?
Days.
It's like this is an inefficient way to travel.
It really is. Like, but I mean, it's the way for them to move during the day.
Yeah.
But still.
Really shows the intelligence of them.
Yes. And the thing about Mister is desperately trying to keep Martin from becoming him.
Yes. Because
he says that if your only goal is revenge, you need to dig 2 graves. Mm-hmm. Because if you go down this road, it's only ends in death. But to Martin's point, it's probably going to lead to death anyway. So we might as well just get aggressive. Mm-hmm. Very fair point by now.
Yeah.
And he talked about how he named his daughter Belle. And he's like, do you remember her? And he's like, I remember everyone. The problem is mostly everyone is dead.
Yeah.
So it's again the bleakness, the pure hopelessness that these movies provide.
Yeah.
It's weighs heavy.
It does. It does.
And the feral kid his scene with the music box where Mr. kind of shows her how to work it, because it's a fair point that's brought up in Mad Max. I haven't really seen brought up in like a zombie or vampire movie before, where like if there were small kids that were orphaned, they've been surviving in the woods, they're going to be more animalistic.
Yeah.
They've lived off instinct for years.
Yeah. Like, I mean, there's like, actual cases of that, in the real world happening.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. Wasn't there like someone who was raised by wolves for a few years?
There was like I
remember this girl that was like taken in by wolves, and like when they got her back into society, she had to like relearn how to do everything.
Yeah, I'd have to like, I'd have to look back into it. She's still alive today.
Yeah, she's in the world, but like they had to like teach her how to walk on two legs again. And how to speak and everything.
Yeah, she still has like, I think only like a child's level ability to speak.
Yeah, but like I think she got like reintroduced to society when she was like in her like late 20s, early 30s. But yeah, she's way behind on the mental scale, because she was surviving on instinct. And it's kind of like this with who they will eventually name Lady, because she's essentially like a dog at this point. Like she lives off instinct. She's very loyal to Mister, and that's about it.
Yeah,
like she doesn't know how to open doors.
No.
And just kind of doesn't say anything really until the end. She tries to say something at the end. That's about it.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting thing to also bring into this movie of like, this shit can happen when you have the free roaming world.
Yeah.
Then while they're having this nice moment, they hear the stake trap go off and a guy screaming incessantly.
Yep.
The Brotherhood is there. He sends the feral girl and Martin down this like escape route.
Yeah.
And the Brotherhood takes him. So they're like, well, shit, now we got to go save him from the Brotherhood again.
Did they find you think they could have found that trap door?
Probably, like but they're only there for Mister.
Yeah.
We learned that the she-vamp wants Mister, so I don't really think they gave a shit about anybody else.
I mean, they just kind of want to get him to leave.
That's loose ends, and we all know loose ends will get you killed. That's these people aren't that smart.
No.
So yeah, Mister's taken, and Martin takes the feral girl to plan just to meet up with him and try to keep him from getting murdered. There's no real like rescue plan. It's more of like a try not to die plan.
Yeah.
So they tie Mr. Scarecrow style in a field, and this vamp stupidly just tackles it in half. So like now he's free instead of up on the thing.
Yeah.
And then his hands are tied, but he swings and beats the fuck out of it, and then snaps its neck with his leg muscles, like a boss.
Yeah. He doesn't even need his arms.
No, because he did not skip leg day, and it was effective.
They really make Mister a badass and continue to do so, but like still in like a realistic way.
Yeah. Like he struggles and he gets injured in this fight because another vamp gets him with a claw on the side, and then Martin shows up for the save. But he's not like that normal action hero that's just like like taking out like an army of like 100 vamps and not even like getting like he gets fucked up a few times, but like he'll win.
Yeah. And also like he like expresses pain like a normal person would.
Because Martin goes to cauterize the wound and he screams. Like it's not like a
like it sucks. It sucks. It hurts a lot.
You're literally searing your flesh. Like it's not fun.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that detail. Like, yes, he's a badass, but he's a realistic badass. He's still a human being. So now they have an injured Mister to get to. There's one last safe town left. Only one out of so many that they had.
I mean, that wasn't a lot to begin with. I feel like
there's only like 7. Now there's 1.
Yeah.
And so they head on the route, and they are, as Martin goes to get medicine, they are attacked by 3 Brotherhood members. and Mister's like in a blanket, so they think
Yeah.
he's unarmed, but it's Mister. He's never not armed.
Yeah.
And they try to rape the feral girl, which is just don't rape people. Like, come on now, guys.
Yeah.
Like, this never ends well for you. So she bites the guy. Martin shows up, axes one guy in the back, like, haha, fuck you. And then Mister shoots the guy in the dick. Fucking get him.
Nice.
And the last Brotherhood guy is like, please don't kill me. I'm just a kid. And Martin's like, we gotta kill him. Mister's like, nah, he's a kid. We gotta let him gotta let him stay.
It's like they forced me to do, or they'd kill me. Wow.
Martin's like, 10 years ago, you'd have fucked him up. Because Martin is now the aggressor of situations, but also Martin is going to turn out to be correct and not trusting this kid. So like, he, especially when this guy doesn't ever take his Brotherhood robe off, like, you should know, don't trust this motherfucker. Like, it'd be different if he throws it off and he's like, please, like, no, I'm not with this.
And it's like this is like a little, I feel like this is just a little bit of out of character with Mr. a little bit.
But it's because this kid's young. If it was just a full grown dude that took that robe off, he'd have killed him.
Yeah.
But we've seen through both movies, he has a soft spot for kids.
Yeah, he does.
And that was playing on his weakness. And this kid
like
knew it when he did it.
He didn't really look like a kid that much to me. I mean, I guess he could have just been like just
he was younger than Martin. At least
he was.
Movie. So it's
yeah.
close enough.
Yeah.
So they reluctantly take Judah with them. Martin's pissed about it, but he's with them. And then he also finishes the rapist. He shoots him in the face. So I thought that was a nice little touch.
You know what? They should have known that he was going to betray them based on just his fucking name. I just realized that.
Yep, that was a nice little detail they threw in there, naming him Judah.
Like they should have known.
But also, like, just don't trust the Brotherhood.
Yeah,
they have fucked everything.
Kill him.
If this kid hasn't escaped by now, he's with them. So just don't do it. So then they head to the city where they meet Bat, who is an old acquaintance of Mister from Mexico. And they take him to Doc Earl, who is Bat's partner.
Yeah.
And they all were in Mexico together, and they're all avid drinkers now because of the shit they saw. Yeah. Which makes a lot of sense and is also a nice little detail how everyone is still alive has a lot of vices, as you would with all the loss that they deal with.
Yeah. I think really this is like part of the movie where we just always see these characters like drinking something. Like from a flask.
They're grizzled old war vets.
Yeah.
That are surprised to still be alive and have to do this to get through the day.
Yeah.
Like, how many hundreds of people between these three guys have they seen get, turned to vamps or had the stake and all that business?
Yeah.
It's rough. So they put Judah in a cell. And there's a young guard named Billy who Judah is going to just slowly work over for the next 5-10 minutes. And when he's doing this, he's going to fucking do it.
Mm-hmm.
Because this girl's very naive. She's young. She's probably been in the safe town a long time.
Yeah, probably her whole life.
And she's easy to trust. This guy, probably roughly close to her age.
Yeah.
Who acts like he's innocent. And it's going to lead to her death. And it's going to be very sad. So you see the town has an electric fence, which is why it's still up.
Yeah.
With 2 generators running it. So we know when we see that, we're like, the vamps can take that shit out.
Mm-hmm. I mean, when they show off the generators, they kind of stay on them.
Yeah, because you just know. You're like, yep, that's something's going to go wrong there.
Yep.
Meanwhile, Mister has a nightmare, and we see kind of his backstory. The vamp lady had a baby who he killed. And took her eye with his other arrow. And because he took so much from her, she's after him now. But he has nightmares about it because he had to kill a baby.
Yeah.
But
I wonder how vampire babies are like.
We didn't actually see it. She just had it wrapped up, and then we saw the arrow go in. We didn't see what it looked like.
Who tapped the vamp lady? Which one of them fucking weebs tapped the vamp lady?
Probably someone in the Brotherhood, because it had to be because I'm sure the vamps are sterile. So had to be, ew. I don't want to think too much about that. That's a lot.
Move on for a
yeah.
second. Let's move on from
that. So Judah's begging to be let loose, but obviously she's not going to let him out.
Yeah.
Because she's not stupid. She's just naive.
Yeah.
Then Bat and the Doc and Mister, they all reminisce about Mexico and they drink together. This homemade stuff that apparently is very potent. Judah, meanwhile, sets a hanging tree. It looks like he hung himself because the hole is at the bottom, which is a terrible idea for a prison. You need to have that shit up higher. So she sees legs hanging, thinks he's dead, goes in there, but it's a trap.
Yep.
So they tell Martin Mister's backstory as well whilst drinking.
Yeah.
These guys are never not drinking.
Nope.
Basically, Mister had lost his wife and daughter, and something snapped within him when he did, to where, since he couldn't get the vamp that did it, he was going to get them all just to make sure it's over.
Yeah.
It's kind of similar to Martin. But Martin is going to be able to get his one that did it, but still, it's like this thing of like, there's a lot more to die. Like, I have nothing left, so I will take everything from the world.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of similarities, and I like that it's not just like subtly or like overly set. It's just like little things you see, and you're like, oh, he's getting hard. Like that's rough. And he sees a little girl with a ball, and he gets sad because he thinks of what he's lost.
Yeah.
And then Bat discovers the dead girl, and it's battle station time. These guys don't mess around.
Yeah.
And they have these things called helios, which is like super bright lights that are like sunlight. So when you hit the vampires with it, it kills them. And because they have this helios and a massive amount of gunfire, the vamps retreat.
Yeah.
And Martin sees the she-vamp, and Mister has to hold him back because, of course, he wants to go fuck her up.
Yeah.
But Mister has to bring him back down. Like, we have to do this in a timely manner. Like, we can't just like charge into the abyss.
And this is what we get, a real heart moment between Mister and Martin. He's like, you'll die. It's like, I don't care. He's like, I do care. Like, Mister right in the feels, man.
Well, it gets the feels because it takes 2 movies for him to actually tell him he cares about it. But it's like, oh man, it's like we all knew it was there, but just hearing it.
Yeah, it's nice. It's nice.
It's very nice, and it's earned. So yeah, very, very much appreciated.
Yeah.
So then they interrogate Judah, and of course the old vets want to do it old school style, ripping fingernails off, getting them nerves.
Yeah, I hated that.
But upon hearing, it's very hard to watch.
Yeah.
Upon hearing that the only reason this vamp took Martin's family was to get closer to Mister, this pisses Martin off. And he don't fuck around with no interrogation. He just slits Judah's throat.
Yeah.
Because the anger coursing through him like sand. It's rough.
It gets everywhere.
It's everywhere. Really makes the guy angry.
Of course.
So Mr., Martin, Doc, and Bat, they prepare for battle because at first Mr. wants to go alone, but of course Martin, he wants some of this, and Doc and Bat, they're like, fuck it, we're gonna die anyway, we might as well make it count. And Doc and Bat are in good spirits about it. They're like, whatever, we've lasted this long, it's fine. If we go down, we're going down fighting. Everyone else is being sent to the mountains because at least in the mountains you have a lot more cover.
Yeah.
And you can ward off vamps that way because literally the only way to get to you is to go up a mountain. So as long as you know the passes, it's very simple. They should have done this before, actually. Like it made a lot more sense to be in the mountains the whole time. Become
dwarves and just live in the mountains.
Exactly. See, all along, they could have saved a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
And Mister says goodbye to Lady, ties her up so she won't run back, but she's going to anyway. And we all knew as soon as that happened that she was going to.
Yeah.
And then Mr. tells Martin his daughter's name was Rose, just to give a little more like, I trust you.
Yeah.
Then Bat gets nice and drunk for this fight, but they get ambushed from the back, but they should have also seen that coming. Like they attack to the front just to see what you got going on. Then they figure out how to get rid of it. Yep. Simple war strategy. So they send a suicide bomber to the generators, which I did not see coming. No. He's in like full SWAT armor.
Yeah.
And just blows that shit up. And they're fucked. They know they're fucked as soon as the lights go off.
Yeah.
So they're pinned down. There is no way out. Lady runs back to join them. Terrible idea.
Yeah.
Mr. draws in the she-vamp while Lady fights vamps by probably very close to where the camp is, but she didn't quite make it in. So Martin and Mr. they double team the she-vamp. Mr. kind of gets fucked up here.
Yeah, a little bit.
But he takes her other eye and Martin fucking cuts her head off.
Nice.
And he's like, do you feel any better? And he's like, no, but I don't feel any worse.
Yeah.
And at this point, that's a victory.
Yeah, it is. Because usually shit always gets worse.
Exactly. So we stayed the same. That's fine. So Bat and Doc, they kiss each other goodbye and blow up a good majority of the Brotherhood and Vamps. So at least they did some damage.
Yeah.
Then they find Lady, who is bit and turning, but even in her last little bit of humanity, she kills one last vamp to save them. Yeah. And then Mr. has to tearfully stake her, which is also really rough to see Mr. cry. Doesn't happen often.
Yeah.
So then Mr. tells Martin to, go, I'll buy you time.
Yeah.
And Martin wants to stay and fight, but he's like, listen, I want you to do better. I want my son to do better than me. Yeah. And it's like, the feels again.
It's like, you're cranking it up to 11, Mr.
Constant feels.
Fuck are you doing?
So Martin's
just like dying on the inside. It's like,
Well, like they have that like head touch moment. And it's like, ooh, there it is.
Yeah. Yep.
Then Martin heads to the rest while Mr. valiantly fights, but we assume that he dies here in the fight.
Yeah.
Martin catches up to the group and that young girl and walks off into another new family, which is probably also going to get murdered. So,
more than likely. Like, this is how shit goes.
Then it ends. So cool. Final thoughts and wrap it up here. Tell me what you thought here.
I think it's a little bit less than the first movie. A little bit less.
Could have been a lot worse.
Yeah, not by much. I think what it is that we are. The tables have turned. We're focusing more on like Martin a lot more. Mm-hmm. While in the first movie, we're focusing, I think, equally
on Mr. and Martin. Mr. Yep. This was Martin's
now
movie.
This is definitely Martin's movie, and Mr. doesn't do a lot. I mean, there's a lot of point in the movie where he can't even move by himself yet. So he's pretty much like on the sidelines, and Martin has to do everything.
This was like a big goodbye to the character.
Yeah. I did kind of miss the more quiet somberness of the first movie. This one is a bit more actiony, which isn't bad.
It was to be expected with the sequel.
Yeah. But it's like you said, like the fight scenes didn't really last too long. Like I feel like if they leaned into it a little bit more, I mean, then I guess it's a toss up how you wanted it.
Yep.
Like it's still a fantastic movie. I still think everyone should watch it. It's still really good.
Whereas I think the last one, I think the first movie, I think everyone should watch. I think it fits a wide variety of entertainment. This one's more specific. If you like the first one, then yes, watch the second one. It gives you more story. But I wouldn't say I wouldn't exactly say it's a must watch. It's just, watch the first one for sure. And if you're really into it, if you're feeling good, roll into the second one. If not, you can just watch the first one and be totally fine.
Yeah. And I kind of wish they expanded a little bit more on the vampire baby.
Well, there was rumors of a third, but as of today, it hasn't been made yet. But it's all up to this. I mean, it took 6 years, so
Yeah.
We're 2022, maybe we might get Stake Land 3.
That'd be kind of cool.
And also the only other really bit of trivia is that the music box that plays with Lady, it plays the theme to Dracula, the original 1931 film. So
That's
that
cool.
was interesting. We already talked about most of the like Mr. and Martin's actors already, what they've been in. But the guy who played Bat, Ace Peterson, he was in Agent Cody Banks, Scooby-Doo 2, Monsters Unleashed, and Sucker Punch.
Oh.
Guy who played Doc, his name is Stephen Wilson, or William. Yes, William, Stephen Williams. Oh, God, I can't read my own handwriting. He was in the original series of 21 Jump Street as one of the major characters. Nice. He was in Friday the 13th, Part 9, which is the worst Jason movie, but not his fault. And the Blues Brothers. Wow. So good careers for both men that span. But I think both men's careers started in 1984, if IMDb is correct. So interesting that they end up in this film together in 2016.
Yeah.
But the first one I would give like an 8 out of 10, maybe. Like it's that good. The second one, I give it like a solid 7. Like it was pretty good, but again, not a must watch. Whereas I thought the first one was, but also the first one set a bar that I knew it wasn't going to clear. But I was really worried it was going to be like Lost Boys 2 or 3, and it wasn't. This is a fine sequel.
It was. Yeah, I think honestly I would give the first movie like an 8.5, but I would also stick with like a flat 7 for the second movie too.
So with that's going to end our coverage on Stake Land 2. Join us next time. We're going to talk about the original Castle Freak, which I'm excited. It is a full moon movie, Cole.
Great.
But it's an older one when they used to care about making movies better. So can't wait to get your thoughts on it. And then we'll do the remake after the original. And I have not seen the remake at all. So we'll see how that holds up.
I don't want any ejaculations happening in this movie.
Well, we'll see if that happens for Cole. Yeah. All right. Until next time, the like button's down there, the subscribe button's down there. Feel free to hit those up if you'd like. Really appreciate it. Let us know what you thought about this movie in the comments down below. Until next time, stay safe and stay nerdy.